Welcome to the coaches interviews, everybody. I'm Guillaume, and we have the Dragonball Warriors coach with me here, xsithspawnx. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hey, we got a team of the OG characters of the league. Let's hop straight into questions.
All right.
So, some pretty generic questions we ask everyone. What do you think is your team's greatest weakness?
Our greatest weakness, couple ways to answer that. As far as characters right now, I definitely say it's Chi-Chi. She's our newest character and definitely been struggling.
Mhm.
And aside from that, our greatest weakness is probably our heavy leaning towards rush B2s and not a lot of really strong B2 players, though the second part of that is probably a little bit mitigated with the new AI.
Yeah, I will say the Rush B2 game is not really one people can play anymore.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher with how easy it is for people to dodge and block nowadays.
Yeah, Nam relies on that. Early Goku's got one of his B2s that way.
Yep.
Tao has one of them. I forgot your other character, but Chi Chi doesn't.
Yeah, no, Chi-Chi's our character without one.
Yeah.
Kid Goku, I don't did you mention him?
No, I don't know why he just blinked on me.
Yeah, but yeah, and then a lot of our almost all of our ultimates actually aside from early Goku are Rush B2s as well, though at least they're tracking ones for the most part.
Mm. Still nonetheless a strong team. Uh,
Yep.
I mean, you guys have been doing pretty well throughout the season. You guys are in North Kai this season, so
Yeah, we had a really good season last season.
yeah, I'm sure you reached some sort of goal last season. But what about this season? What's your goals? Stay North Kai,
Well,
win the bowl. What you going for?
it's gonna be rough at this point with the start we've had, but the goal is definitely to win the bowl. I'd love to stay in North Kai. That also both of those goals would take a huge turnaround right now, but we still have almost 2/3 of the season left to go through, so we're still shooting high.
Yeah.
Uh, go
Uh,
ahead.
with being in North Kai though, you guys aren't at the bottom of your division, so there's a good chance you're gonna get into the playoffs. And when it comes to the playoffs, it really matters not how well you did earlier in the season, just how strong you made your team by the end. So
Right, definitely. Yeah, no, and at that point, we just gotta hope we get Chi Chi up to snuff. I think pretty soon here, and if we can get her to the point where she's at least not dragging us down, we got a good shot.
yeah, you guys would have a pretty well-rounded team at that point.
Yep.
Speaking of teams and opponents and all that jazz, which opponent do you find scariest? Just a total nightmare.
Gosh, now that the Super Saiyans are out, can't say them
Yeah.
obviously.
Nope.
They're the only team that Vindicated and I never beat while coaching the Dragon Ball Warriors, sadly.
Yeah,
But
I don't think you guys would be the only ones.
oh, I'm sure. Currently, gosh, strong teams. Earth Defenders looks really strong this season. They're just totally solid all around.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they have a single character on their like 42K.
Right? No, they don't have any glaring weakness. Everyone just carries their weight.
Yeah. So in similar fashion to the last question, what's the hardest team to build for? So maybe they have a specific counter to you, or they have some weird character going on with them.
Right. Oh gosh, a lot of muscle is one because they get all their brick walls, and like I mentioned earlier, we're kind of melee focused more than anything else, just by the dint of our characters. Similarly, Booze and other teams that get free draconic auras kind of take any ability for power body away, so I'd throw them in the mix for sure.
Yeah, speaking on the whole muscle and power body thing, your characters, Ramble characters, tend to have a bit of a extra negative.
Right.
I've noticed like Nam can't gut punch people with power body, even though it usually works for others.
Yeah, no, I definitely noticed that too.
Yeah, so it's I'm sure that could be a bit frustrating, but you guys seem to actually deal with it rather well, and I've seen him go smash heavy against some power body characters.
Oh yeah, no. Whenever he's smart and just sticks to his smash game, he can go toe to toe with Power Body even if he doesn't have Draconic Aura, as long as he chooses to.
Yep. So, speaking to you specifically as a coach and as a person in this league, what made you want to become a coach and join the league?
Oh well, I've been a fan of the league since partway through the first season. I didn't join up as a team member right away, but
Yep.
some build
Hello.
to be a coach just as soon as I got the chance. And then when Vindicated decided he was going to step down, that was basically just my moment.
There was actually a bit of a weird connection issue.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Did I lose you?
Oh no, there seems to be connection issues.
Yeah, I hear you now.
Yeah. Mine just re-entering that. I had the same thing you just got.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, as far as what got me interested in the league and in being a coach, I started watching the league maybe halfway-ish through the first season and loved it. And is it doing it again?
No, it's fine. I hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. But yeah, and then I joined DB Warriors with Vindicated when he took over as a coach in season 4, and then just got some building experience. And when he stepped down, that was basically just my moment. I was ready to jump in and take up the coaching spot if I could, and here I am.
Yeah, I see you two are like the big pair in the Dragonball Warriors sort of supporter base.
Yeah. No, when he got the coaching spot, he was actually the only active member on the team, and we're actually good friends in real life for anyone who doesn't know. And so I had just joined the Earth Defenders. I'd been on the team for less than a week, and Vindicated hits me up. He's like, "xsithspawn, join me. I'm the only one." So I jumped over to TB Warriors, which was honestly, I was torn between those two teams when I first picked, anyways. And so yeah, we've been with them ever since.
Right, that's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep. What do you find is the most interesting part of the league, and what is the most frustrating for you?
The most interesting, I just love watching the season constantly change and evolve throughout the seasons, whether that's by different mechanics that get added in by the staff or just by how different characters and teams dynamic kind of changes from season to season. Just as AI and Patara like kind of meta strategy changes and stuff. The most frustrating, that I would probably have to say just the things that you can't control as a coach or a supporter, things like your team tagging or not tagging, or just the little random things. But at the same time, that stuff does kind of help give the league some of its charm too. So
the roll of the dice in there.
Right.
It would be very frustrating with the other opponent tagging like 15 times, and your team's like, "Nah, I got this."
Yep, for sure.
So last season you guys had Pilaf, and
Yep.
he was in for 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, the first two.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, he had like an average damage of 2,000 and was then taken off.
Yeah. Yep.
Derp has now picked him up, and he's seemingly above average to average character. Do you guys have any regrets about dropping him?
You know what? Do I have now with the way he's going and with the way Chi-Chi is going? In hindsight, if I'd known that, yes, I would have loved to still have him on the team. But I think we can still get Chi-Chi going. And honestly, we had literally tried Pilaf on every AI before Season 7 and thought we'd finally found one that worked. And then with it just crashing that hard, we just kind of decided to cut our losses. And I I knew there was a chance that Derp would be able to figure something out for him and get him going because we loved him on the old AI. He was great for us. So I'm glad to see him doing well again. Just wish we could have him back.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just glad to see him working.
Yeah, the test can sometimes not exactly lie, but there's also a roll of the dice in there also. You might not actually
Oh, for
see
sure.
everything. Unfortunately, that's how the league works.
Yep.
So some people believe that Zengaya showed more promise than Chi-Chi in the preseason, Zengaya being a free agent this season.
Right.
Can you explain what made you want to have Chi-Chi over Zengaya and their overall performances?
Yeah, Chi-Chi in the preseason, a couple of her matches, she really did well with the spamming. Like she would throw out like 6 or 7 B2s. And Zengia, we didn't ever really see what we hoped to with her. And honestly, we since she was our free agent, we picked her up so late and we were still trying to solidify Chi-Chi and the rest of our team that we didn't get much testing time on her, and so we just really didn't feel comfortable throwing Zangia in over Chi-Chi when we thought we had one, if not two, decent AI options for Chi-Chi.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we got like a month total to prep for
Right.
free agents, so that was a bit of a limiting time for a lot of teams. If you couldn't figure it out right away, or if the character wasn't obviously one of the more superior ones, like Gotenks
Right.
or Nova,
And
questionable choice to put them in.
yep, and she was already a free agent that had relatively little previous testing time to draw on
Yep.
with the new AI.
Yeah. Didn't get a lot of time to be used last season on Team Cold.
Right.
Yeah. Um. So speaking about the monster on your team, Nam, yeah, he's a monster in the league.
He is.
For those who are not aware, what is it that makes him such a powerhouse? Even though he's a Dragon Ball character, sort of, you look at him on the surface, it's like he shouldn't be that strong.
Right. I think it's a few things. The one thing that Squee and Piff finally somehow seemed to pick up on last season is that he does not have any kind of rush blast or rock throw or grenade throw or anything like a lot of the other characters who don't have proper rush blast have. He just does more melee, and so he is always up in people's faces and just always disrupting their rhythm.
Yeah. Saving key.
Said plenty of times before. Oh, sorry, say what?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Discord's acting up once again.
Did we drop connection again?
Yeah, for a slight second. I heard right up to the you explaining the rush blast completely with he's extremely aggressive without them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other half, I think, of the equation is something I'd mentioned. Nope. Are we good?
Yep, we are good.
Okay, cool. Is that he has been on the same AI minus I think 1 week at the
No.
he's been on the same AI since week 3, I think, of season 4.
Cell AI, right?
Yep. And I don't. Oh, sorry, you were saying.
I wasn't.
Oh, okay. It sounded like you were. Oh, yeah. It's Cell AI, and he's just been ridiculously consistent with it. And I don't think there's another character in the league that's been that consistent for that long with the same AI. Which we're lucky is all it is that we have that.
Yeah. I will say the unbelievable use of that one stock after image from Cell AI
Oh yeah.
is such a pain.
Yeah. No. He when he decides to use that, he can just be dodgy as all hell.
I remember last season where we we fought you guys and we're like, we're gonna put Raditz first. Nam's gonna be out first, and we so hope that Raditz does enough damage before he gets those blast attacks up.
Yeah.
And the fight when Raditz gains a slight lead, just the most minor of leads, up
Mm-hmm.
to about 2 bars down, and then after Image comes in and he wipes the floor with Raditz.
Yeah. No. It's those little things that can give such a huge edge, and having that after image for so cheap just lets him throw it out again and again.
Yeah. No, it's dodging in this league is key.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah. Um, So let's go to a more simple question. What's your favorite part of the league other than the actual matches?
Hmm. I think it's definitely like the community is great, and I love just all the banter and just the great, like just positive community working together and everything,
Yeah,
and
voting on if Squeeze should die by Rusty Knife or Fire. So
or fire,
positive,
yes,
so nice that we're all great people.
yeah. But I think my favorite is the actual building and strategizing for the matches and trying to figure out your opponent and your team and seeing just where you can leverage your advantages and how you can try to throw a wrench into their plans. And it's constantly changing, and so it's always a fun new challenge. And so I think that's my favorite. But the community is a close second.
Yeah, it's always shocking to me when I try to view Dragonball Z League from an outsider's perspective. With the knowledge I have, is like there's that much depth in this, and
Right.
there's that much strategy. That's insane.
Yeah, and you wouldn't really know at a glance that like just trying to explain the concept to people,
It's
you
hard.
have to really sit them down and just have them watch and like trying to explain everything. It's a lot.
It wasn't made for this. It just fits so well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Um. So if you were to leave the Dragonball Warriors, what team would you go to? What teams? I think you might have given a hint before, but where would you go?
Yeah, like you said, that hint, I Earth Defenders is another team that definitely has a soft spot for me. So they would be one. Like I would be a supporter there, but if the coaching spot came open and I decided it was time that I wanted to move away from DB Warriors, I'd love to try for that one. Let's see other teams that I might look at.
You know, it is really
There's,
fitting that you say ED since everyone keeps confusing your two teams.
I know, right? That has gone on forever, and I don't think it will ever die.
Nope. Nope.
And they have a lot of Dragon Ball characters on there too. So
Yeah. Look, they can half the league's characters fit on their team. It's a huge master list.
it is. It's really handy. We have a pretty big one, but theirs is, I think,
Yeah.
might be bigger.
They either have the biggest or the second biggest next to
It,
Afterlife. I don't
right.
remember.
Yep.
Um. So this is just a question on how you view creating builds and creating lineups. What is the key to victory? So some teams, when they create a lineup and they create their characters' builds, they go for a more balance. Well, our strongest character could use all of these Bataras, but our weaker characters would take damage and they'd have almost nothing to work with otherwise. So we're gonna spread them out instead. Other teams are like, nah, screw it. We'll just focus on these two.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I think that in focusing on your strongest players and accentuating what they do well is generally more my philosophy than trying to pick up the slack for your weaker characters, just because I think if you already have an AI that's somewhat suspect and you think is going to be tossed around and beaten around a bit, that you're probably risking just wasting the stuff you put on them if you're taking it away from your stronger characters in order to put it on them.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Do you think you are adapting well with the new changes that have happened since your first day as a coach in comparison to now? So there's been quite a few these last 2 seasons in specific.
Yeah, I would like to think so. Obviously, our record this season is not necessarily showing it, but that can be a lot of things. I feel like last season I would hope speak towards the fact that I'm adapting somewhat well, but also a lot of it is that having vindicated last season and the other supporters we have who we worked with, and Mystic Harley's another big one this season. Having them their intellect to draw upon as well is huge, at least as big as anything that I bring to the team.
It's more like you guys have the same people working, just a switch of roles within the
Right,
team.
yeah, definitely. We worked really closely this whole time, and even like you said, even when vindicated, was the coach. Not really a whole lot changed between what we do except for who posts the final builds.
I don't know. How do you feel about the changes that happened this off season? So the Master Blast bans, the Savior bans, the characters like Super Saiyan 2 Team Gohan ban.
Yeah, no, I think the Master Blast ban was definitely needed. The Savior ban for Cutscene Ultimates also is pretty big because those things are just ridiculous, especially the really big ones that ended up actually getting banned.
And then
Super Saiyan,
yeah.
the losing Teen Gohan, Super Saiyan 2 for the Gohans has hurt them immensely, but he is just so powerful. His 2-bar Kamehameha, his
Does
father-son, his father-son Kamehameha, the fact that he has a max power B1 and gets Brick Wall and Light Body and all that stuff in max power is just, he's a monster.
Then, of course, the big one, dropping an entire team and moving
Right.
into the gauntlet.
Yeah, and that we're still gonna have to see how that messes with the whole power dynamics of the league. But again, as I part of me wants them in the league so that Vindicated and I and the Dragon Ball Warriors and all of us can finally have another chance to take them down.
Got the gauntlet.
Right. And that'll have to suffice. But yeah, just how dominant they were for so long. I think it was only fair to the rest of the league, unfortunately, to do what they did.
Mm-hmm. Who would you consider the mule of your team? So there's always like this one character that he may not shine and he may not be bad, but he pulls his weight usually. He does the damage needed, and then he sort of just is gone. No one really says, "Oh, that's an awesome character." Oh, he's not that good. He's just like
Right.
There.
I feel like he somewhat applies, but it's probably based off that. I would say Tao. He is at certain times been someone that people would say, "Oh, that's a scare character, one of their best." But generally, he's been kind of in the middle of our team, and he's just been a really just good player for us. With he's our only character before we got Chi-Chi with a 2-bar B2, so we had him as our only spammer for a long time, and we would used to almost always put him as our closer because he was just so good at getting in and finishing characters off. So I think he'd probably be our mule or our workhorse here.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. I do forget he's on your team at times, not gonna lie. Yeah. How do you feel about your division and the competition in it?
Well, I'm honestly shocked that we're all struggling so much because, yeah, I mean, obviously we all made it to North Kai last season. All 4 of these teams were really solid teams. The Boos were amazing. Rugrats were right up there. Gohan's obviously won it all, and we made it to the semifinals. I'm shocked that we're all struggling as much as we are, but I feel like there's going to be a bit of a turnaround. I hope Gohan gets some wins after we face them this next week. They can wait one more week. But I can't see the Boos continuing their slide they're on, and Rugrats have to start getting some wins here soon too.
Yeah. What record do you think your team will end with this season? So it's still early, and you had a bit of a rough patch at the start, but from what you see from the opponents you are lined up to fight next, what do you think you'll end with?
Right, that's a good question here. So we are at 2-4 right now, and we still have, we still have the Earth Defenders and the Boos later in the season, and we've got all 3 of our divisional matches left. Man, I'd like to say we could at least get back to 8 and 7. But it's gonna be tough. I would hope for even better if we can, but I think that's a fairly reasonable, fairly reasonable estimate here. Lose 3 more matches, but I feel like the way our schedule is falling out, we've got some wins coming our way. We've already benched Nom twice, so having him in a lot of more of the matches will help.
Yeah. So expect to win 2 for every 1 you lose. I think that's very possible with Nam in most of the time.
Yeah.
Um, what sort of coaching style do you have? So some coaches create set up days to create builds. Just today we're doing the lineup. Tomorrow we're doing the builds. The day after we're doing costumes, and they have it rigid and it's scheduled out and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Others are like, "Yo, what do you guys want to do today?"
Yeah, no, I think I'm somewhere in the middle, and I think Vindicate and I were pretty much both this way. Like I said, we kind of not much of our structure has changed, but we try to aim for one day, usually Wednesday, since it's right in the middle of the week and it's a day or two after the stream. We've had everyone has hopefully had a chance to watch our matches. We try to go in and just nail out our builds as much as we can then, and if we can't come to a consensus or not everyone's able to show up, then obviously we'll spend the next day or two kind of polishing things up. But we don't have like a day where we do this and a day where we do this or anything. It's just kind of get everyone together and see what we can do when we're all available.
All right. When you became a coach, did you have any sort of objective? Was it to make someone in the team better, have a certain amount of victories, or just like I want to be a coach?
Yeah, no, obviously I really wanted to be a coach, but I think my objective was probably just to get the DB Warriors to be a powerhouse team and to eventually win the bowl if I could.
I mean, you got one of them. People definitely look at your team as one of the scarier ones now.
Yeah, yep.
Do you have a favorite moment since you became a coach, like a particular match that made you really glad you participated in this league?
Gosh, since I became a coach, so last season and this season, I think it's hard to name a specific one for me just because I've been in the league long enough that there's so many awesome moments. But I think honestly, getting to the semifinals and having a real shot to get to the bowl has been the high point so far, and hopefully I'll be able to top that.
All right, we're gonna move on to people's questions because people ask questions. We're not alone here. We'll start off with Oasis, and just to clarify, if I don't ask one of your questions, it's probably because we've already answered it. So, Oasis' first question: what 2 characters were the hardest to get working for the Dragonball Warriors?
Gosh, well, right now, Chi-Chi's got to be one, though I don't know if that applies since we're not sure we have her working yet. But as far as characters that I think we've gotten working but were the hardest, I'd say Tao was definitely there. He was really struggling for us last season. Just we switched his AI around multiple times, and he was solid at sometimes and then just abysmal for a lot of it. So I'd put him there. And then if we're excluding Chi-Chi, I'd say probably I'd say Kid Goku, just because his AI has been a constant kind of a merry-go-round situation where we think we have one figured out, and then it starts to slide, and we'll go back and try all these other ones out and think we found some good ones and try it out. But then it just always comes back to the same AI. For a long time, that was Yajirobe AI, but we finally kind of settled on Chaozu for him, and he's been pretty solid for us since. So I think of the ones that I think we have working fairly well now, they were the hardest too.
Tao and Kid Goku. Or
Yep.
yeah. Do you consider Dragonball Warriors an underdog in this league? Why or why not?
In a sense, I think we're always going to be an underdog team just because of, like you said, kind of the statistical side of things being all composed of Dragon Ball characters. The only one on our team that doesn't really apply to is early Goku because he was a DBZ and Dragon Ball character, so he doesn't have really the same negatives.
Ain't he like the benchmark average for the league or something?
Right, and I think he does have actually a really like a higher end charge rate, but besides that, I think he's kind of like you said, the league average kind of benchmark. But in another sense, I like to think we're not because we've shown that we can work past those weaknesses and compete with any of the teams in the league. But I think it's kind of a yes and no, and there's always going to be that statistical side that is, even when we're performing beyond it, we are in some sense underdogs still.
Oasis's third question: what was fed to Nam week 5, and where can he get some?
Well, actually, as I mentioned in the Discord chat, we didn't feed him necessarily anything special, but we did keep him dehydrated a little bit so that he's that much more focused on getting his water and punching it out of the enemy. I know it sounds brutal, but it can't argue with results.
Can't argue. If you could have any Dragon Ball Super character on your team, who would it be? I think this is a bit odd considering you're Dragon Ball Warriors, but sure.
Right. Well, we'll say DB Super characters get added in, and we pick one up as a free agent, and we'll go with that.
Okay.
And oh gosh, I'm not entirely caught up. I'm right before the beginning of the tournament in that, and I think from the characters
Monaka.
Oh,
Definitely Monaka.
Yes. Yeah, he would. There's one team he would fit on, and it's not Dragon Ball Warriors. He would be a perfect fit for Derp, obviously, but
yeah.
Man, that's hard. I think as far as characters that they had on there, I'll stay away from any of the Gokus or the not Gokus, so to speak, for people who haven't maybe seen it. But people who look like Goku, hint, hint. Just because we have enough Gokus.
Is there anyone who doesn't know about that?
I know Vindicated hasn't watched Super,
okay.
And I'm sure there's a couple other people scattered out there. But maybe I like Trunks, so maybe the new version of Trunks.
All right.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices. And,
yep.
Oasis's last question: how was your day?
Oh, not bad. I went to work. I am no longer at work, and I am in a YCast interview for the league, which is cool because I had not done one before, so pretty good so far.
All right. Let's move on to Vindicated's questions. I have a feeling he may have some answers of his own to these, but let's ask them anyway. Typically, Dragon Ball Warriors were in East or West Kai the last 3 seasons. How did the shift to North Kai in Season 8 alter strategies and or your general way of thinking about other teams?
I don't know if getting into North Kai really altered my way of thinking about other teams, just because like I kind of mentioned, the league is constantly in flux, and so it's kind of hard to have like a set way of thinking of certain teams because it's always changing, and if you don't change your way of thinking with it, you risk getting left behind, I guess.
All right. On to his second question. The Dragon Ball Warriors suffered early losses, but have in the past 2 weeks won their matches with only 3 contenders on the field, leaving the 4th on the sideline. How were you and your team able to develop the fighters in a way that allowed for that specific type of victory?
I think part of it is the fact I'm pretty sure we had Nam in both of those 2 matches, and also one thing I think that helped, and it helped at least in one of them, is that we have transitioned how we use early Goku. In the past season, he was usually either an ultimate B2 like glass cannon or a spammer, and in this season we've kind of moved him to a tanky strategy just because he's so solid all around. He's got great melee, he's got good B1s with his Solar Flare and Kaioken, and he's got a good charge rate to let him still throw out his B2s, so we decided just let him stay alive as long as possible and just do everything he already does well. And I think combined, having him and Nam, who are both generally rather good at with their staying power, has probably helped in that.
That all makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
On to his third question. Do you feel as if your schedule is more difficult in the first third, weeks 1 through 5, second third, weeks 6 through 10, or final third of the season, weeks 11 through 15?
Yeah, I think our first third, I think, was pretty brutal, honestly. We had Androids, Derp, and Saiyans in there who are all winning, like a lot. Then we had Muscle and Blades who were able to get wins out, but at the time who were looking still like pretty solid teams. And I think they basically have the same or similar records to us, so they're definitely no pushovers. The second, third, we just fought Namek. We have 2 divisionals. We have the Vals, and then we have the Earth Defenders. So
That sounds tough.
yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with the third one. Not any knock against any of these teams, but I think just by default it has to be the last third. So hopefully we can do well still here in the second, third, and then take advantage of the final one.
And a follow-up to the third question, how does the difficulty of your schedule inform you upon your team's strategy?
Well, this is a good question. I think the main aspect it obviously affects is our rotations and how we approach who we're benching when. And without going into too much difficulty or too much detail and giving things away, I think it really comes down to that dilemma of, do you bench your strongest characters in your easiest matches and save them for your harder matches? Or do you put your strongest characters in for those matches and try to just secure those wins? And I think without saying which way we necessarily lean towards, I think that kind of dilemma is what comes most into play when looking at the difficulty of our schedule.
All right. On to his next question. Which team are you most excited to fight for? To clarify, you may be excited because of informal rivalry, or because the opposing team always pushes Dragonball Warriors and has made for great matches in the past, or maybe you just like planning against the coach.
Man, that is a good question, and I think at this point, the match that I'm most excited for would probably be, it might be a tie between the Earth Defenders, because apparently I'm a masochist, and the Boos, just because after taking the Super Saiyans out, we were tied with them at the top of the league, but we had lost the head-to-head, so I guess kind of got a little chip on the shoulder for that match. So I think the Earth Defenders, because I love the team, and I think it'll be a huge challenge for us that I'd love to overcome, and the Boos to see if we can get our comeuppance.
ED, a super solid team, and the Boos, who have naturally very powerful and usually at the top. Yeah, you're definitely a masochist. Onward to the next question. What is your name?
Well, my name is xsithspawnx, on here at least.
What is your quest?
To win the Tenkaichi Bowl.
What is the capital of Azeria?
And to break with his Monty Python quote, because I'm a jerk, Asher, Nimrod, Nineveh, and I can't remember any others.
This next question may be a bit biased, but why is Vindicated 57 so awesome, and how would your team suffer without his aid?
Who?
I'm not really sure.
No, in all seriousness, Vindicated, like I've already said, been great friends with him in real life forever, and not having him on the team would absolutely suck. I would still have Mr. Carly, and hopefully we will keep getting other teammates, but he has had so much experience with this team and the league in general that not having him would be terrible.
All right. And his final question. How did you take a team that only had 4 wins in the first 2 seasons it appeared and mold it into a force that makes every team hesitate and rethink strategies?
First of all, with plenty of help, and second of all, a lot of hard work into figuring out what makes our characters tick and finding out how we can use that to our advantage, as well as just getting a lot of practice into making a build and a lineup that can also kind of counter what the enemy is doing. But it's a lot of things, and it wasn't just me easily.
It's also lying to Nam about the water, but yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. Sorry. Nom, 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 and nom, I believe was the short answer.
Yeah, that seems pretty accurate. And finally, a question I ask everybody at the end. Do you have a message to any undecided people who are looking to join a team or interested in joining the league?
Yeah, I would totally encourage them to try it out and not be afraid to just even if it seems intimidating, because I know it's like we talked about, it's a ton of depth to the league, and if you've been watching for a while, you've probably got a decent grasp on the fact that there is a ton of depth. But don't be afraid to just jump in and ask questions. And one thing that I think is a great way to get a feel for it if you feel intimidated with building is to try out the minor league. That was actually something I did the same season I started being a supporter in the league. Is I coached a minor league team for a few seasons, and that really let me get my hands dirty trying out ideas for building characters and stuff. And I think it's a great way to just kind of get your feet wet.
All right. Well, I was trying to set you up so you could plug your own team, but sure, that works. That's the end of the coaches interview, everybody. Thank you, Sispan, for joining.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, we'll see everybody later. Bye bye.
Bye.